Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross from PTCGRadio, and I'm back with another game from PTCGO, the official online program of the Pokemon trading card game. And I am again taking out my Seismitoad deck. You've seen it against Aromatisse, against Big Basics, against Eviltown Garbodor, and not particularly fair game against Pyroar. And now I am bringing it out again. But as well as watching this Seismitoad game, you can also see a little bit here about Spirit of the Game, which you'll see from my opponent. Or you won't, I should say, see from my opponent. So I mulligan again, and shockingly, and this may surprise you at this stage, I don't start Seismitoad. But again, that's not what we're going for here. We want to win these games whether we go first, whether we have a good start, whether we start with a supporter, etc. That's what's important. I do, however, get to go first, and I see I'm against a fighting deck, and the presence of both Landorus and Lucario suggests that maybe he's not playing Seismitoad. Now, this is a potentially silly move on my part. I probably shouldn't have done that, because now, if he gets a Mewtwo DCE Muscle Band or Mewtwo DCE Laser and a Floatstone, and that's a lot to ask on turn 1, but we expect these fighting decks to be playing Mewtwo, and I've potentially gifted him a very quick win. Now, if you're wondering whether it was a mistake to not play the Ultra Ball, the answer is no. I want to play a proper draw supporter next turn, the Colress or the Juniper, depending on how big our respective benches are. So I don't want to play the Skylar next turn, I want the Ultra Ball for the Seismitoad. Hence why I put the Floatstone on Mewtwo. But he's starting with a Landorus. He's going to get a fighting energy, as he does. If I were to bench a Seismitoad, then it's going to have 30 damage on before I can do anything with it. So I'm not benching the Seismitoad, but I needed to play the Skylar because I needed to get the Ultra Ball so that I could play a Juniper next turn. So I hope that made sense. Now, he hits heads on laser, and I hit tails annoyingly, and then I hit tails on my own laser, which, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think is fair. But I've got the Ultra Ball. I do have to kill 2 Colresses, but I do play a Power Pad, as you've seen from my previous video, so hopefully it won't be the end of the world. I get the DCE, I'm looking for my 1 escape rope, I'm not statistically likely to find it, and I don't, it's not the end of the world. So he's now going to do a bunch more damage to my Mewtwo. Now I'm going to bench the Reshiram in the hope pretty much that he misclicks and hits the Reshiram. But he's probably going to hit the Seismitoad. Now, he's probably also not going to get the KO this turn. Most of the fighting decks are playing Fighting Stadium, not Verbank, a decision which I actually disagree with. More on that in the podcast later, but essentially, Fighting Stadium might add 20, Laser Verbank always adds 30, whether it's an EX or not. So I'm not too worried about that. And he hits 50 again, and he hits my Seismitoad, but I've got a Floatstone on Mewtwo. Now, annoyingly here, that's all my DCE. I can't even start building up the Mewtwo, because the Mewtwo's got almost no health left. I'm going to be searching for a Max Potion to try and heal the Mewtwo, so it's not really any good to me here to play the DCE on Mewtwo and start building it up for a big KO. So I have to just throw it away, which is depressing as all goodness. I hate having to throw away 2 DCE when the other 2 are on the bench, but what can you do? Now, my Seismitoad is hopefully going to live for a turn, which is good, because for the rest of the game, I am going to have to rely on double attaching, essentially, attaching twice, not in one turn, like Oliver Barnett might, but attaching in consecutive turns so that I can get those KOs going. The good news is here, he died from poison. I did the maths, I left him on 150 at the end of my turn, and I left him trainer locked. What that means is, at the end of his turn, the poison puts 30 on, he dies from poison, I get 2 prizes, and I'm still there in... It's my turn now. Now what I'm going to do here is grab a Max Potion, I'm going to heal my Mewtwo so that he hasn't got easy 2 prizes there, and then all the damage I've got on the board is Seismitoad. Now my opponent has put up his Terrakion here. which I love. I've just finished telling you how I basically need time, because I've lost my DCEs here. I've just finished telling you I need time to attach to my Seismitoad. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sit and I'm going to Quaking Punch. As I've mentioned in my previous videos, there's a delicate balance as to knowing when to block them out of trainers with Quaking Punch and when to go full-on attacking. But what I'm doing here is buying myself time. He can't play a switch, he can't play an escape rope, he can't play a float stone, and Tarakian's got a retreat cost of it's either 3 or 4. It's big. He's not going to pay that. He needs to attach 2 energy manually to do 30. And I know he's not going to do that. Now, I don't want to play the float stone there because I need muscle bands at this stage. Garbodor isn't going to be coming out this game. So, I can just pop my Seismitoad down, and I'm not going to play the laser. The laser gets me a KO here. The laser puts him on 130. But why would I do that? If I play a laser, then that Tarakian dies and he can attack me next turn. And this is where he starts being a douche. There's not really any call for that. He's put a bunch of Zs to indicate sleep. I go for a random letter. I think F, but then I think that might look rude, so I just go for a bunch of Ts. It's a random letter. I mean nothing by it. My opponent is being quite rude there. I don't care, quite frankly. You know, this is the way it's played. I'm not playing the Hypnotoxic Laser because I don't want the KO. I want another turn to try and attach energy. If I can get a water energy onto that Seismitoad on the bench, then I'm looking good for having attackers for the rest of the game. Now, he plays Scramble Switch there. I'm going to explain this in my podcast soon, but essentially his deck is built around attacking for 1 energy with Lucario and Landorus, and he needs things like strong energy, so you need to turn 1 attack, so you want to be playing Computer Search. You don't really ever need more than 1 energy, so why would you want Scramble Switch? It's a bad call on his part. So I'm going to play the N, and I don't actually hit an energy, which kind of sucks, but meh. I'm not desperate for the energy here. I'd like the energy, but I don't need the energy. And then my opponent comes back again with another silly thing, so I tell him to quit. And I'm not trying to bait him into quitting here. I'm basically saying, look, yeah, quit or stop whinging. No offence, but we're playing a game here. If you don't like my deck, then don't play the game. No one's forcing him, I hope. I really hope. No one's forcing him to play this game. Don't sit there crying and whinging to me and sending what I consider to be quite rude comments. Just don't play the game. I'm playing a deck with an element of locking. If you don't like that gutted, now I was slow playing there while I'm deciding what to do with my Computer Search. That was a bad call on my part. In the end, I decide to save it. I decide I don't need the energy attachment that much. Now, he brings up his Landorus here, and the question is he going to go for the little attack, or is he going to go for the big attack? If he goes for the big attack, he's going to lose all of his energy, and that's quite bad. And again, he goes yawn, almost sleeping here. Those are rude comments. They're not respectful comments. He's a stranger. We're playing a game together. If he doesn't want to play this game, he doesn't have to play this game. And this, now I suppose this is going to sound a little bit rude on my part, but look, you know, you've seen how rude he's been. He's going to Lysander up my other Seismitoad, not get the KO, which is just utterly ridiculous, and kill 4 energy. He killed 4 energy and didn't get a KO. If you need the KO that desperately, then waste 3 energy getting the KO on my active. I just don't understand. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to Skylar for the Float Stone, and then I can pop the Float Stone onto him to retreat him. And I'm going to play the Computer Search. I'm going to get rid of the Garbodor and the Ultra Ball because I don't really need them. And what I'm trying to do here, and I believe it's prize, I was going for my second Max Potion. Because Max Potion there would have been wonderful. Getting all the damage off, retreating him, getting all the damage off, and completely showing the ridiculousness of his previous play. But there's nothing I can do about it. It's not there, blah blah blah, no point whinging. I'm going to get a Lysandre for next game. And now I'm just going to put a third energy on him, and I'm going to Grenade Hammer, because Grenade Hammer gets the KO. And again, I can do 30 damage to my Reshiram, and I'm just going to put 30 damage somewhere else. Now, I know it's not ideal to have 30 damage on your benched Mewtwo, but at the end of the day, if he's going after that Mewtwo, I'm winning this game. There is my max potion, and at this stage, unless he ends me, I can just Lysandre and get a nice easy KO. Now, he's got the Fighting Stadium there, and he's got the Strong Energy, so he's going to get the KO, but at what cost? I mean, I've only got 10 damage left. He's going to be doing 70 damage, which is lovely. And he's actually not Trainer Locked this turn because I Grenade Hammered. It's like I've talked about before, finding that balance. I'm going to stick up the Mewtwo with that, and I'll draw into the energy, so I can just attach to my Seismitoad, Lysandre up his non-EX Landorus, and I can Grenade Hammer for a load of energy. And again, more Zs from him. It's just not polite. So I'm replying, I would say good game, but you whined a lot. So yeah. I don't like people like this. It's supposed to be a fun game. If you don't want to play, don't play. If you don't want to talk to me, don't talk to me. But please don't come on and put these rude comments. There's absolutely no call for it. If anyone knows who Coyote Gunner is, please let me know. But just real douchey play from him. The good news is I won that game quite easily, and what that really shows with Seismitoad is if you're playing against these straight fighting decks, it's actually a fairly favourable matchup. But again, and this is something I'm only learning to do now, you've got to learn when to block them with Quaking Punch or whatever it's called out of trainers, and when to go ahead and attack and take KOs. It's a very delicate balance. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment and all that good stuff, and I will be back soon with more lovely videos.